Yo, what up you guys, MxgicIQ here, and today we are in the V-Tizzle, you know what I'm saying now, the V12 Lamborghini SVJ. This thing sounds amazing, as you guys are going to hear going through this tunnel here. This car sounds absolutely amazing, and I just want to start this video off by saying Need for Speed Unbound is not a bad game, okay? At its core, this game is set up to be the perfect competitive street racing game. It has class system, it has good upgrade system, there's a variety of builds you can make to have a car act so many different ways. Multiple styles of driving are viable and effective in the racing side of things, so it's really cool to see that a game has that, right? You don't see other racing games where drifting style of play is going to keep up with grip racers. It just doesn't happen, and this is one of those unique games where it is able to be, you know, competitive between the two styles in the same time attack, you know, slash racing sequence. It's pretty cool to see that in a game, and that's where this game is pretty unique. But I do have to say, this game went wrong pretty much straight off from the start. So I'm going to break it down by each volume. Essentially, we're going to go update number 1, volume 2, volume 3, and then what's coming up is volume 4. And then we should probably honestly talk about volume 5 already, because now's when they're going to start thinking or making volume 5, if they're even going to do so. So it's best to put your ideas for what you want down below in the comments. If they even see it, who knows? If they're listening to the community, I hope they are. But we're going to talk about just where they went wrong straight off the start, just to begin with that. Okay? In my opinion, you pretty much killed all basis of casual play with this game when you split the progression system. When you put both campaign and multiplayer in two different areas, what you did is you split the player base, okay? Now, what I mean by that is there's those guys that constantly complain about the competitiveness of multiplayer, which I don't know what you're talking about. Every single lobby I'm in is just like pub stomp central. I mean, I can use this car in S Plus and have a genuinely decent time competing, because most people actually aren't using Regeras. They're just using whatever. Oh my god, listen to that thing. Like, this game looks and sounds phenomenal, so it's not like it doesn't have the identity and the DNA to be an amazing racing game, okay? But when you split the progression system, what you do is the casual players now have no way to make money and generate cars to go and compete with the more competitive online players. They have to race against other players in order to make money. Now, that was a problem until Linkups came around. But when Linkups came around, essentially what that did was it killed the racing scene off because of that. And I've been blaming Linkups recently for ruining racing, but in reality, it's just that the casual guys have nothing else to do but do Linkups. And I still believe Linkups did ruin racing. I'm not changing my stance on that. You guys keep trying to convince me that, like, I'm wrong or like my thought process is incorrect with that. I mean, it's just true. There's 13 people at this Linkup right now. 13. Nobody's accepting this guy's downtown tour race. And if I were going to, I would just accept it, walk him by 6,000 yards the first race, and he'd leave. It would just be pointless, right? And that's just what it is. That's what multiplayer is at this point. 13 out of 16 constantly on Linkups, and all those people are about to make 125 grand, which is a better payout than any race in the game. Even Old Town Road. If you ran Old Town Road twice, you'd still get 3/4 of the money that you'd get from doing one Linkup, which takes about 3/4 of the time, actually, of doing 2 Old Town Road runs. And that's just the honest truth right now, okay? But where that stems from is their decision to split the progression system. I've been thinking about it a lot recently because I've been getting a lot of backlash on those Linkup videos, right? And I had a good time filming them. I think it was funny, but I understand where the casual players are coming from, and I understand what they kind of did to you guys by forcing you into the competitive field, you know? That's why there's Spec Ops and MW2 and stuff like that, and Zombies and Black Ops to level up your stuff without having to necessarily fight against real players or play against real players, because it can be difficult for somebody that just wants to play the game casually, and I can understand that. Now, let's talk about the updates one by one, okay? So starting with update 1. This was just an excuse for an update. I mean, they nerfed the Regera. I guess you could say that was the only kind of nerf that actually did anything, because they accidentally just kind of buffed the GTI, and it's still overpowered ever since. In A+ class, it's absolutely disgusting. S class, it's still pretty dang good. And then in A class and B class, it's actually pretty viable there as well. So that car, still amazing. Didn't really mess with it. The Regera, I mean, there's now some things that can compete with it, but overall, when it comes to driver mod, it's pretty much the determining factor there. The Regera is still pretty darn good and constantly #1 in most races. Now, can you keep up with it with the 918 Spider and the Lotus Exige? Yes, you can keep up with it and even beat it in some races now, so I think that was a good nerf. I'll let them pass on Update 1, alright? Now, what we all expected Update 1 to be was Volume 2. Now, I was having this discussion in my Discord last night, and it's kind of what prompted me to make this video. In Volume 2, what they did was they introduced, cops to online. Now, the person I was talking with in my Discord said this like it was some amazing thing. They just added in resources that were already in the game into multiplayer. And let's be honest, cops are the least competition I've ever had in my entire life in any game involving police officers. I mean, I quite literally can run from these dudes in a B-class stock Honda Civic on the 5th heat, and trust me, I've done it. Literally, look, you just hit them, they're dead. And that, boom, cop chase over. No other cops are coming to get me. He's just done for, right? He's still spinning. He's still lost. That guy has no idea that I just took his buddy out, even though your radio did, right? There's no comp when it comes to cops. Also, what they brought in Volume 2 was rumble races. I bet you guys forgot about those, okay? They brought in rally racing, but when they brought the rally racing in, they also brought in a Maybach, which doesn't even line up. Like, if you're going to add in rally racing, why don't you bring out an update with rally cars? Now, this is where I get to the point of where I think Criterion and the people behind these updates are just making all the wrong choices. And you guys are going to see as I start to lay it out with the rest of these, examples with these volume updates. And I'm going to give you examples of what I would have done. So I like what they did with the Rumble races. I need at least 2 or 3 more playlists of Rumble, though. And I mean dedicated ones. One A+, one S-Class for real, because they're all kind of mixed tier, right? I need some B-Class, I need some A+, I need some S-Class, and some A-Class ones, okay? I need specific 1-tier Rumble races, all right? So I needed like 3 or 4 more of those. 1 per category would have been sufficient enough instead of just the 2 that we got. That would have been 6 in total, right? 2 mixed tier and 4 dedicated tier. And then on top of that, you add in at least 2 new rally cars. Now what you could have did is took your Subaru license and asked them for the 22B, which is a pretty popular rally car, right? I don't think I'm tripping. I think that would have been absolutely sick. It would have been super cool to see that in the game, and it would have 100% been a cooler addition than the Maybach. The Maybach's cool or whatever, but the update had no character. It had no theme to it. It was just like, here's hot laps that have to do with circuit racing, here's rally racing, and here's a Maybach. Like, what the and here's some cops. Like what you could have did is you could have added that, right? And then you could have added a police vehicle. You could have added an enforcer unit or something like that to go with the cops. You could have added 1 rally car and 1 enforcer unit to go with the cops or something like that. Something like that, right? Just to have some identity to the update instead of just a bunch of random here you go, here you go, here you go, right? I think 2 rally cars would have been sufficient, okay? It's still not amazing. It's only 2 cars, but it's better than just 1 random out of nowhere car that nobody expected to be in a Need for Speed game. The last thing I'm going to touch on from Volume 2, about 2 or 3 cars ruined a whole lot of diversity in this game, okay? The Pista being one of them, a couple other Ferraris, basically pretty much ruined the diversity for being able to build any car in any class. And guess what? The RSR, which was only a second or 2 slower than the Pista, is still in B class, so it didn't really do much. The Pista was, yes, completely dominant in B class, and it did ruin it a little bit, so I understand why they did it, but I think, I don't know, it just took away from the diversity a little bit, but that's not a complete L. I understand why they did it, and that's just what it is, and that pretty much sums up Volume 2. Now, Volume 3. The most recent update we got before Volume 4, which will be coming August 16th. You guys enjoy your chase? So, like I was saying, Volume 3, right? Volume 3 added Linkups. Now, I personally thought it was going to blow over, but they decided to make the payout extremely higher than everything else. Mind you, every single update they're fixing the economy. They're adding good fixes to the just the feel of the game. They're making the game feel a lot smoother. I commend them for that. They've done a great job fixing all the netcode issues and stuff that was done with this game. But at the same time, I'm not going to say those are additions, because that just means the game was unfinished and untested and needed to be fixed as a work in progress, because nowadays AAA studios sell us betas as full games, okay? And that's just what happens, all right? That's why I'm so excited for Motorfest, because Motorfest actually feels like a fully finished, polished game, okay? If you guys would like a copy of Motorfest, the Gold Edition, or a chance to get that for free, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We will be doing a giveaway of the Gold Edition of Motorfest at 10,000 subs or 100 subscribers over on Twitch, so make sure you guys go follow over there. And if you have Prime, it is free to sub. If we hit either one of those goals before the release of Motorfest, I will on the 12th be doing a launch day stream, as it's early launch day for the Gold Edition holders, and I will be doing that giveaway on that day, so make sure you guys are tuned in. That will be super lit. I keep forgetting the word for it, but they've essentially been making the game feel a whole lot better. Less desync, all that stuff is pretty much in a good place now. It's in a playable place now. The game feels smooth. The desync isn't all that bad. The burst NOS mechanic still has a whole lot of bugginess with it in terms of actually racing with other people and using that mechanic, so it causes some issues with the desync, but it's pretty much fine where it is right now, okay? But the Linkups, man. What the Linkups did is they essentially pulled the player pool, and all those casual players that were stuck doing races and actually having to try to compete now have an outlet to just go and not have to worry about having any type of skill, just maxing their car out and staying in this green circle for about 5 to 6 minutes and getting 130k. Alright, they got to do a couple little challenges here and there, but in reality, I mean, it takes absolutely no skill. We all know this, right? Honest opinion, and I will never sway my opinion just because, you know, it's not liked. I just personally feel the way I do, and I'm always speak the real, at least from what I think is the real, okay? And that's just what I'm gonna do. Accidentally took out another cop. Ooh, I'm not getting chased. So devious. Volume 3 also got rid of pre-shifting. Now, what this did to the competitive community was kind of put the knife in the coffin, right? Like, you can't compete now. There's only so many records that are grabbable at this point because of that pre-shift change. And you guys are like, well, they just made it more balanced for automatic players and manual players. I can still go shift. If I launch my car and spam the shift button with a different clutch in it, I can still get to that higher gear quicker than an auto player. I still have a ridiculous advantage. I'm just no longer able to get the times I once was. So all those world records pretty much don't matter anymore because they're unreachable to a certain extent, which is kind of lame because it kills any competition we had between ourselves going back and forth, you know, with either videos or on YouTube. It's just like it kind of killed that part of the racing community. So now we have even less to focus on and entertain ourselves with, and they didn't switch up the playlist at all for Volume 3. They did nothing with the playlist. They did not shuffle them around at all. The last time they shuffled them was Volume 2. They shuffled them one time. We got no shuffle. Zero shuffle. All they did was add drift playlists as well. They did add the drift playlist. Me personally, I could care less for the mechanics in this game. I did do it a little bit. It's not terrible, okay? But I just personally, I don't lean towards drift. And I feel like that's already dying out like the Rumble playlist too. There's only so many times you can go back and forth like this on Need for Speed before it gets a little irritating. Like you're just going back and forth, then stopping to bank the points, and then going back and forth and back and forth. Like, it's not that fun, okay? And that's what it is. And I'm gonna be real for a second, okay? I really want this game to succeed, but again, with just the wrong decisions. Why are you adding a DeLorean into a drift focused update? What does it have to do with Linkups, right? Linkups are based on takeovers in real life. Takeovers in real life are mainly like, you see a lot of the Mopar community doing that. Why didn't I get a Hellcat wide body red eye? Why didn't I get a demon in the game? Why didn't I get something like that? You added in drift playlist. Why don't I get more JDM cars to mess with? Why don't I get, you know, something like an FCRX7? Why don't I get something like, you know, an S13? Why aren't you adding in these other JDM icons that could be having to do with drift playlists. Why aren't you adding in, I mean, like any FD car pack? Like Chris Forsberg did a pack with, you know, Crew 2. Why doesn't, you know, somebody like RTR get with Need for Speed and do like an FD pack for the drift thing? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, even if you're going to add in 1 or 2 cars, at least make them have to do something with the update. We got Back to the Future drifting and Linkups. They have nothing to do with each other. It's just a mixed bag, and you're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. The DeLorean happened to be ridiculously overpowered in a couple classes. It's just a meme, though. And then you come out with Volume 4, which seems to have some kind of direction. It's a 75th Porsche anniversary update. Now, I'm a big German car guy. I'm a big BMW guy in real life, and I'm a big Porsche guy. I love Porsche. Okay? It is the 75th anniversary of Porsche, and you gave us an EV. You didn't give us the Flat 6 that they are famous for. You didn't give us the Carrera GT that they are famous for and has been in your game before. You didn't give us a screaming car with a loud, naturally aspirated motor. No. You didn't give us the 992 from this year, which was their Hail Mary, like ITBs, 6-speed manual, 992 GT3R. No, we did not. We got a freaking Taycan. Okay? I mean, like, it's just like, dude, what are you doing? I feel like I had to get this out at a certain point, because it's just like, I've been playing this game for what, like 500-600 hours, and my review of this game is, the base game is better than Need for Speed Heat. This is a better game than Need for Speed Heat, okay, at its core. At this point, this is just me and you talking, okay? There's no gameplay in the background. This is just us being honest with each other, okay? This game is set up to be both competitively and friendly to, you know, a wider audience, but the problem with the split progression is those audience will never like run into each other. The daytime and nighttime cycle would have been something cool to see in a multiplayer campaign cycle. What you do is, like, you could have had the same thing from Heat, but with the multiplayer aspect, and then do some of those missions at night with the campaign. You could have meshed the two together. I need a day or nighttime cycle. I like the fact that I can choose what time of day. Like, it's cool for pictures and stuff like that, but it doesn't really work with the immersion. Like, I have to go and physically change my stuff to nighttime if I want the daytime to change. Like, evolving daytime, like, is a big thing in video games. It makes the world feel a lot more alive. When it's just light out 24/7, it's real annoying, right? You just got to stick to a theme. Something's got to go together. It has to have some personality. Because this game, because of the fact that the campaign is split, most people like myself just went straight to multiplayer. So this game, to me, has no identity. You got to build it somehow through these updates. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's MxgicIQ, and these are just my thoughts, man. Let me know what you guys think.